Welcome to Table for One. I'm the narrator, and in today's video, I'm playing a solo game of Death Valley Highs and Lows. So get out your scrapbook, we're going on a journey. Let's get rolling. Alright, so today I'm going to be teaching and then playing Death Valley Highs and Lows, which is another Button Shy 18 card wallet game. And Button Shy did provide me with a copy of this game. So if you have any questions about how that works between me and publishers, you can go to my website, tablefor1.games. There's a link in the description. Go to the section for publishers, and you can see exactly what that arrangement looks like. And you may also notice I'm using my Table for One neoprene playmat here. It's really good for these Button Shy games in particular. There's a link below if you're watching this on YouTube where you can pick up this playmat if you like. But I'll talk more about that in my upcoming Table for One review in January. Twice a year I do just a review on what's going on the channel, sort of an update. And I'll talk about things like merchandise and other things. And so I do that the first week of January and of July. So that's coming up. But anyway, I'm going to split this video into two parts. First, I'm going to teach how to play Death Valley Highs and Lows solo. And if you have the original Death Valley, it plays solo the same way as Highs and Lows. Highs and Lows is the same game with just a brand new set of 18 cards. And if you have the original Death Valley and or any of the expansions to it, you can mix and match to make your own 18 card set and play with it. But as I was saying, the first part of this video will be I'll teach you how to play it solo, and then the second half of the video I will do a solo playthrough, and then I'll kind of give you my thoughts at the end. But let's keep going on the theme of mixing and matching. So I've got these cards set up so you can sort of see them. There are icons in the top left corner, either animals, water, terrain, or heat. And there are 3 animals for, what did I say, water, for flood. It's a flood hazard, 5 terrain hazard, and 6 heat hazard. And you can see that number is beneath each of those. So there's an animal with a 3 under it. It's just letting you know there are 3 of these hazards. There are 4 flood hazards, 5 terrain, and 6 sun. So if you want to mix and match between your sets, you can mix them all up and either randomize it or choose just the cards you want, as long as you have 6, 5, 4, and 3 of those respective hazards, then you can play that game. And so let's take a look at the rest of the anatomy of the cards. So in addition to the hazards, the cards may have stars on them. Stars can be worth points at the end of the game, but they're not necessarily. So these two have 4 stars, this has 2, 1, this one has no stars, right? You'll also notice these 3 cards have skulls. There's 1 on this flood card, 2 on this heat card, and 3 on this terrain card. Those are negative points at the end of the game. And then, of course, the bulk of the card is just a nice piece of artwork. The art's really nice in this game. At the bottom of each card is an ability that's in effect when you have this card. And then in the bottom right corner, that's just a little bit of flavor text, but it tells you a little bit about these different spots in Death Valley. So these are the cards. That's the basics on how they work. So let's kind of take these and mix them up just a little bit. It doesn't really matter. And I'm going to show you a little bit about the gameplay. This is normally a 2-player game, but it does come with an official solo variant. There's also a variant when you're playing with 2 players called Backseat Driver. The solo mode uses the Backseat Driver variant by default. So we'll kind of get into that in a moment. But let me show you the basics. So to start, normally you would put the deck of cards here and flip one card up, and you would orient them this way because it's a 2-player game. You're playing across from each other, right? So this way both players will be able to see the card. But we're playing solo. I'm going to put this here, and I'll just put this here to the left so that I can read it, because I don't need somebody on the other side of the table to read it. Let's not worry even about the AI opponent yet, but this here, the stack of cards plus this 1 face-up card, these are referred to as the desert. And so on your turn, you can do a couple things with the desert. You can take this face-up card, or you can take this face-down card. But once you've looked at this, you can't change your mind. You kind of just take it. So there's nothing wrong with that first card, but whatever. We'll take this one just to demonstrate that. And so it goes in this row here that you're going to start building that's called your journey. And so that action of taking a card is called traveling. And then on each subsequent turn, you can either travel or rest. Again, we're just ignoring an opponent. We have no opponent right now. We're not worrying about actual gameplay. This is just sort of what you could do. Let's say we're going to continue to travel here. Okay, and we're going to travel, and we're going to travel. Okay, great. So if at any point you have 3 of the same hazard showing, we've got 1, 2, 3 floods, you have now busted. So when you bust, you take the rightmost card from your journey and put it face down, and that's going to be out of the game. Take the rest of the cards from your journey and you shuffle them back into the deck. Okay, so you've lost your journey. So you want to avoid busting. So that's why the number of each of those hazards on the top left corner of each card is important. So here's our desert again. Maybe this first turn, okay, I've got a flood, and maybe I want to travel and take this one. And when you take this card, at the end of the turn, you refresh it. So there's always one face-up card and always one face-down card. So maybe I want this flood card, and maybe I want this terrain card, and I want this heat card. So there's a bunch of cards here. And so for whatever reason, maybe I don't like the look of the next card that's come up, or here, let me just quickly set something up here. Maybe, this card comes up next. I'm a little bit worried about this flood card because I already have 2 floods and I don't want to bust again. Because again, these stars can be worth points at the end of the game. And so if I bust, I'm going to lose all my cards and then I don't have those points, right? So instead of traveling, your other option is to rest. So instead of taking a card from the desert, either the face up or the top face down card from the deck, I'm going to rest. So when you rest, you take any one card from your journey, your choice. Let's say this one for no particular reason, and you move it down here into a second row, second row. This row is your scrapbook, so these are permanent. And when you do that, you can take any number of cards from your journey and put them under that card that you just added to your scrapbook. And let's just say for fun that I do this. I add these 2 to my scrapbook here. So those cards are essentially gone for all game purposes unless one of the abilities specifically calls out cards that are underneath. So in reality, maybe I don't want this, I said this skull is a negative point. You might hide that card so that way it's no longer going to lose you a point at the end of the game. But for demonstration purposes, I'll just leave it here. So on my turn, let's say that I rested and I hid these other cards under this card. Now, when checking for busts, whatever is this face-up card here still counts for busts. So if I had 2 suns or 2 heat in my journey, that would be 1, 2, 3, and I would bust. So let me, here, tell you what, let's do this scenario instead. Let's do this. Let's say I rested, and now it looks like this. If on my next turn, for some reason, I took this card and placed it here, so I have 1, 2, 3 flood. I bust again. So when that happens, as I said before, you take the rightmost card from your journey, it's discarded. The rest of the cards from your journey get shuffled back into the deck, but your scrapbook is permanent. So even though this caused me to, or was part of the reason I busted, I still keep it. It does not get shuffled back in. So why wouldn't you want everything in the scrapbook, right? At the end of the game, let's say you play until there's no longer enough cards to have 2 left. You've got to have at least 1 face down and 1 face up. When you're down to 1 card in the desert, the game is over at that point. So let's say the game ends. Scoring says you get all the stars that are in your journey, but the stars that are in your scrapbook you do not get. So you score 1 point for each star in your journey. You lose 1 point for each skull anywhere in your journey or your scrapbook, as long as it's visible. I think there was a skull. Well, maybe I moved it. These hidden stars, or if I had any hidden skulls, would not count for anything either way. And then for all of your visible cards, they may have some sort of effect that also changes the scoring. So like this one, this kangaroo rats one says +2 points for each of your rows without water, including empty rows. So I've got water in both rows, but if it looked instead at the end like this row has no water, so I get an additional 2 points. So quick recap on the scoring. Each star in your journey only gets you a point. Each skull that you can see in your journey or scrapbook, you lose a point. And then you check for any abilities or special scoring criteria for any of these cards, and that could affect your score as well. And at that point, the player with the higher score wins. If it's a tie, check your piles for how many times you've busted, and whoever busted fewer times wins. And then if it's still a tie, you share the victory. So let's talk a little bit about the AI opponent now, who you're going to be playing against. And again, this is just going to be for rules purposes. I'm not doing the playthrough yet. That'll be later in the video. Let me back up a second and talk about the backseat driver variant. So the backseat driver variant, when you play a two-player game, you kind of go back and forth taking turns as I described. You either travel, you take one of these cards, or you rest and you move cards to your scrapbook, and then your opponent goes and does the same thing. The backseat driver variant, you can take either this card or this card, and instead of adding it to your journey, you can add it directly to your opponent's journey. And so that can be really interesting because then you can cause your opponent to bust. So that changes things up a bit. And when you play the solo variant, the backseat driver is in effect by default. So you always use that when you're playing against the AI opponent. And importantly, the AI is using it against you too. So you go first when you play against the AI, and you take your first turn as normal. Let's say you just want that card. Great. The AI has a journey, but no scrapbook. The AI does not have a scrapbook. So when it's the AI's turn, they look at this face-up card, and first they check, will it make me bust? Will it make the player bust? If it will, they place it in your journey and you bust. If it won't, the next thing they check is, do they have that hazard anywhere in their journey? If the answer is no, like right now, they take it. If the answer is yes, then they take the top card from the face down deck instead. So they'll take this. All right, this card comes up. Let's say that I want it. Then the AI goes. So they check, will this heat make me bust? No, it won't. Do they have any heat? No. So then they take it. Let's say that I take this. Now, again, they check, will this heat make me bust? No. Do they have any heat? Yes. So they won't take it. So they'll take this top card instead. So there's another flood. Now it's my turn. I can take this for my turn and place it in their journey. That's my turn. So that's from the backseat driver variant. So again, now we've got terrain. Will that cause me to bust? No. So the AI will not take it, or will not place it in my journey. Will it or do they have any terrain hazards? No. So they will take it. And now it's my turn. I could take this card, again, I could rest, or I could place this in my opponent's journey, and now they have 3 heat, so they bust. So we'd put this face down, shuffle these back into the deck, and then it would be the AI's turn next, because that was my turn, was to cause them to bust. So when you get to the end of the game, boy, that was a shuffle. Okay, whatever, we'll say it looks like this at the end of the game for whatever reason. So these are all in my journey, I guess. I would get 1, 2, 3 points, plus any modifiers. We'll just ignore those for now. The AI, on all of their cards, you ignore all of the modifiers throughout the game. Some of these are not just scoring modifiers. They can give you different abilities. On the AI cards, you ignore them completely. The AI gets 1 point for each star, also 1 point for each skull, so they score the skulls. And then if any of the abilities are a modifier for endgame scoring that's like X amount of points, they just get that many points. So again, this is the example I used earlier, kangaroo rats, plus 2 points for each of your rows without water, including empty rows. So if I had just ended, this row has no water, my scrapbook has no water, so that'd be an additional 4 points. If the AI had this card, plus 2 points for each of your rows without water. You don't check the criteria, just plus 2 points. Okay, 2 points. And then again, the high score wins. And in the event of a tie, you check who busted the most, and that person loses. Whoever busted the fewest times wins. So that's sort of the gist of the game. It's a little bit push your luck. The abilities, I haven't really talked about the individual ones very much. We'll just kind of see them come into play when I do the solo playthrough. But that's how it works. So I'm going to shuffle up the deck and do a solo playthrough now, so stick around. All right. right, so let's start the solo playthrough now of Death Valley Highs and Lows, and I'm going to go first. And so this first available card is a Flood Hazard worth 1 star if I can keep it in my journey. And the ability says +3 points if this card's row is longer than your other row. So I think I want that one because I would like to get this into my scrapbook and then maybe get my scrapbook row longer than my journey by the end of the game. And then, it's only worth 1 point in my journey, and then 3 points if whichever row it's in is longer. So let's give that a shot. All right, now the AI goes, and this is a landscape hazard that would, or a terrain hazard that would not cause me to bust, and they don't have one. So the AI will take it, try and put theirs a little bit higher, and we just ignore this ability on the AI cards. So another flood. So I got to watch out. I'm not great at push your luck because I don't think I push my luck necessarily, but I'm bad at calculating my odds of bad things happening. So I don't really want this card. The ability says after your action, so that means after you either take a card or place one on your opponent's journey or take a rest, after you take your action, you must add the top card of the deck to your journey. So that feels pretty dangerous to me. I'm just going to take the one card. Oh, interesting. Okay, mountain lions. This one's worth a lot of points if I can have it in my journey at the end. But it says, when checking, if you bust, this card counts as 2 animal cards. So basically, any other animal card now will make me bust. Well, luckily, there's only 2 more animals out there, so I've just got to make sure that the AI gets them. So now it's the AI's turn. This will not make me bust. The AI does not have a flood hazard yet. They will take it. And I think I'll just try and simplify their row a little bit. I'll just show the hazard and then any symbols, either stars or skulls that they might have. All right, a sun card. And this one says +1 point for each star on cards adjacent to this card. But of course, it does come with 2 skulls on it. So you kind of, if you're going to keep it, you got to get your money's worth out of it. I don't necessarily want that one. I'm afraid to take this in case it's another animal, but I'm going to take it anyway. And it's a sun, okay? So this says, when checking if you bust, ignore the card directly to the right of this card, if any. I would love to swap the position of these 2 cards. I don't know if that's possible. I don't know if there's an effect that'll let me do that, but this one's worth a lot of points, and it's going to easily make me bust, so it would be nice to ignore it. So now it's the AI's turn, and if the AI puts this heat in my journey, I will not bust. So now checks. It does not have a heat card of its own, so it will take this. And remember, the AI gets points for the skulls, where I would lose points. All right, we've got a flood hazard here, Salt Creek. And the ability on this one is, at the start of your turn, you may hide one of your animals underneath this card. So one of your animal cards underneath, which could be helpful. Or swap a hidden animal with a card in your journey. Yeah, I think I want that. That could allow me to maybe move some stuff around and keep this card without being at risk of busting. So let's see what's next. Oh no! Well, never mind to that plan. So the AI checks, would this make me bust? And it would. So this would only be 2 animal hazards, but when checking if you bust, this card counts as 2 animal cards. So that's 3 animals. So I've busted. So this is going into my discard pile. I'll just put it down to the side here. The rest of my journey gets shuffled back into this deck. So I am starting from scratch. The AI's got 3 cards worth 6 points now. Plus at least a 7th point from the bonuses that I can see. So that hurt a little bit, but I guess all those cards are still available, so maybe I can get some of them again. Roadrunner, this is the other animal. So I've lost 1 animal. Here's a second, and the third is that card that I wanted. And the effect on this one is, before you rest, move this card to your opponent's journey. And that's not that interesting to me, not something I really want to do, so I'm going to take this, whatever it is. State Route 190. Cards adjacent to this card are considered adjacent to each other. All right, now it's the AI's turn. This won't cause me to bust. They don't have an animal hazard, so they're going to grab it. So they've got 1 of each hazard. They're not going to be grabbing cards that are face up anymore. So we've got a terrain hazard here. This is last chance range. It's worth a lot of points. It's worth 4 points, but the ability is If adding another card to one of your rows makes you bust, you lose the game. So it's kind of risky to have. Basically, if you bust while already having this card, you lose. Now, if gaining this card by itself causes you to bust, then you don't automatically lose. It's a regular bust. But if you already have it and then you add another card and you bust, you lose. So I don't know if now's the time for me to take that one. Let's grab whatever this is. Salt Creek. Again, this is the one that lets me hide an animal underneath this card or swap a hidden animal with a card in my journey. I'd really like to get that. So the AI is next. Check, will this cause me to bust? No. Do they have a terrain hazard? Yes. So they will take this card. So that's their second heat hazard. I can expect they'll be busting at some point here, but their journey row can get really long, and that's very dangerous for me. So again, I don't want this one. Let's take whatever's here. Stovepipe Wells. I had this before. When checking if you bust, ignore the card directly to the right of this card, if any. So I do have to watch out. I've got 2 heat hazards now, so I could bust again. Again, the AI is not going to give me this because I won't bust. They won't take it because they have that terrain, so they're going to take whatever's here. And it's another flood. This is Desolation Cannon, so they have 2 floods, 2 heat, an animal, and a terrain. And it's back to me again. And I think now I will take this one. No. Boy, I'm scared. I'll take this. Okay, Manly Beacon. When a player busts, you may swap this card with a card in their journey, and they still bust even if you swap. That's interesting. So now we go back to the AI. Again, they won't give me this because I won't bust. They won't take it because they have a terrain, so they will take this. And this is their 3rd heat card. So they bust, and again, when a player busts, you may swap this card with a card in their journey. So do I want to swap this with any of theirs? I don't think so, no. So the AI busts, they lose their rightmost card. The rest gets shuffled back into the deck. Well, the AI can't rest, but I have not rested yet, and I probably should. I'm really holding out for that like 4-star Wildcat card now because I want to pair it with Salt Creek again. And that's probably not smart. So that was the AI's turn, so now it's to me. And the chances that I bust on getting these another heat just went up quite a bit because the AI had a bunch of heat. But let's be bold. Let's take this card. Okay, it's another. Oh, that's not good. I'm going to bust anyway. It's another terrain. So this says, as your action, you may take a hidden card from your scrapbook and add it to your journey. So it's kind of similar to Salt Creek, but less specific. So now it's the AI's turn, and actually I'm not going to bust. So you would think they would take this and give it to me, add it to my journey, and I would have 3 terrains and bust. But Stovepipe Wells, again, is when checking if you bust, ignore the card directly to the right of this card. So we would ignore that. So I actually wouldn't bust. So if I won't bust, then the AI checks, do they have this hazard? The answer is no, so they're going to take it. That's a lot of points. All right, there's another one of those. I don't need it. And so for my turn, I think I'm going to rest. And I'm going to take this and put it in my scrapbook. And I'm going to hide this card beneath it. And then everything else slides down. So you fill any gaps because sometimes adjacency is important. So I still have this action. As your action, you may take a hidden card from your scrapbook and add it to your journey. That's still available to me. Not this turn, but in the future. I've lost this one, which just said cards adjacent to this card are considered adjacent to each other. So that makes it a little less likely that I'll bust. And now we go to the AI. So they check, will this make me bust? The answer is still no because Stovepipe Wells is protecting this card. So will they take it? No, they already have that hazard type, so they're going to take this card. All right, they got a Flood, Desolation Canyon, and now it's to me. And I'm going to take this card, and this is the Roadrunner, and that's fine. That doesn't really affect me much either way. So back to the AI. This won't make me bust. They already have that hazard type, so we're going to swap here, or they're going to take one of these, and it is a Heat. Okay, they've got a lot of points up there. Again, they score the skulls. Now, Salt Creek says at the start of your turn, you may hide one of your animals underneath this card. So I'm going to take this Roadrunner and hide it under here, because I'm going for that big cat. I'm like determined to get it. I never get it. And I haven't gotten it again now. I've got 2 heat, so I've got to watch out for that. But this is interesting. It says, if you hide this card, you may move a card from your scrapbook to your journey. I might want that ability later. So now we go back to the AI. Again, this won't make me bust. They have that terrain type, so they're going to take this. They get their second heat. And so I think the AI lost one heat already, discarded one. And I've got one. Here's 1, 2, 3, 4. I think that's the fifth. So I think there's only one more heat left. So I guess I'm going to go ahead and try to take this card. Yes, that's the one I was looking for. Okay. Now I just got to figure out how to keep it. But the AI goes next. Again, this won't cause me to bust. They don't want it, so they're going to take one of these. It's a flood, so that's their second flood. And now it's my turn, and I'm going to rest. And I think I'm going to put this card in my scrapbook, and it's got a card beneath it. You just treat the whole pile as one card. And I can put any number of cards beneath it as well. Let's hide this. I don't think I'm getting that much use out of it. And then I'm also, well, I guess I'm going to keep that there. Keep that. Yeah, I think that'll be it. I'll just hide those. Okay, I feel really good now. So now it's the AI's turn. They're going to bust. I know it. So they check. This same card will still not make me bust. They still will not take it. So they're going to take this card, and it's a flood. That is their third flood. They bust. So we're going to put the rightmost card to the side. And, hold on, before I do that, I have this action. When a player busts, you may swap this card with a card in their journey, and they still bust even if you swap. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to swap with their first card, which is worth a ton. Now this one is the rightmost, and it goes away. This gets shuffled back into the deck. So this is last chance range, if you recall. And it says, if adding another card to one of your rows makes you bust, you lose the game. So I've got to not bust. But Stovepipe Wells says that this terrain card does not count towards a bust as well, so that's really good. And I don't think there's any other animals out there. I think I busted and lost one here, and I've got the second one under here, and there's only 3 animals. So I think I'm clear here. I've only got 1 heat and 1 water. I'm in pretty decent shape. And I'd like to keep these 2 in my journey because that's a lot of points. So now it is my turn because the AI busted. So I think I want to avoid getting terrain. Or you know what? At the start of your turn, you may hide one of your animals underneath this card or swap a hidden animal with a card in your journey. So I'm going to take this and hide it here just for safekeeping, and then hopefully I can put it back into my journey by the end of the game. So now I'm going to take one of these cards. So that just kind of protects it, so if I do bust, I don't lose it because I worked really hard to get it. Okay, so that's my second flood hazard. This one is plus 2 points for each card in your discard pile. That's interesting. I've only got 1 right now. So now it's the AI's turn. They check, will this make me bust? No. Do they have this hazard? No. They take this card. We refresh the stack. We have a sun or a heat hazard, and that's plus 1 point for each star on cards adjacent to this card. That could be really strong. Let's take it, even though I'm at a little bit of a risk of a heat bust now. Replace this. All right, it's another terrain, and I had this one before. This is when a player busts, you may swap one of their cards, a card from their journey with one of your cards, or with this card specifically. So that was good, but I think I've got the cards that I want now, so I don't think I'm going to do any swapping. So, man, I think I will take this. It's kind of a risk, and then I'll rest next time if I don't bust. Oh, that's going to hurt. Yep, that's bad. So the AI checks, am I going to bust? This one doesn't count because of Stovepipe Wells, but this one and this one do. Oh, man, last chance range, you did me in. So they give me this, and I bust. And because I have this, I forgot all about this. If adding another card to one of your rows makes you bust, you lose the game. So that is going to be it for me. That's too bad. My hope, let me just show you my hopes and dreams now. Had that not been a terrain, because we're getting low in the deck, was I was going to rest and place this card down here and tuck this under it and then slide it down. Right? Yeah, that's probably what I was going to do. And then as we're getting into the end game here, and I think I was gonna tuck this one in too, so it didn't kill me. That was important. I don't remember exactly now, but this one says, at the start of your turn, you can swap a hidden card with a card from your journey. Somehow I was going to use this. I was going to get this up here, and then as your action, you may take a hidden card from your scrapbook and add it to your journey. I was going to do those things back to back to make my journey look like this and try and end the game. And had the game ended like this, my journey would have had a lot of stars, and then this one is 1 point for each star on cards adjacent to this card. So these 8 points would have been worth 16, 17, 16, 15. I would have gotten 15 points, and then I wouldn't have had any other scoring. But I didn't think there'd be any way for the AI to get 16, and there wouldn't. But they did make me bust. And so, as I said, I'm really bad at calculating the odds of these things. I pushed my luck too far. Last chance range got me. But hey, at least I had a good time getting there. So this was a solo playthrough of Death Valley Highs and Lows. Again, it's totally compatible with the original Death Valley and the expansions that exist to that game. So if you've got it, this is just more variety for you. If you don't have the original Death Valley, you can, as demonstrated here, play this by itself, 1 player or 2 player. And yeah, that's what I know. So if you're still here, thanks for watching. Please consider subscribing, leaving a like, and some comments. Those things would all be great. Again, you can share this video if you think somebody else would like it. And don't forget, if you're interested in this neoprene playmat, that's available if you're watching on YouTube. Just there's a link below. You can find it there. Obviously, I think it's pretty nice, but you can decide for yourself. So thank you very much for watching Table for One. I had a good time. I hope you did too. I will see you in the next video.